Genesis chapter 11. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower, with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of man had built. And the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do, and nothing that they purpose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down, and there confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord dispersed them from there over the face of the earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth. And from there the Lord dispersed them over the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. When Shem was 100 years old, he fathered Arpachshad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he fathered Arpachshad. When Arpachshad had lived 35 years, he fathered Shelah. And Arpachshad lived after he fathered Shelah 403 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he fathered Eber. And Shelah lived after he fathered Eber 403 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he fathered Peleg. And Eber lived after he fathered Peleg 430 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he fathered Reu. And Peleg lived after he fathered Reu 209 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived 32 years, he fathered Serug. And Reu lived after he fathered Serug 207 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he fathered Nahor. And Serug lived after he fathered Nahor 200 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he fathered Terah. And Nahor lived after he fathered Terah 119 years, and had other sons and daughters. When Terah had lived 70 years, he fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran fathered Lot. Haran died in the presence of his father Terah, in the land of his kindred, in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren, she had no child. Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his grandson, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abraham's wife, and they went forth together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. The days of Terah thoughts were 205 on Genesis 11, and Terah died in Haran. The first thing I think is important to point out is going all the way back to Noah. Even after the flood, God says that I will never again curse the ground because of man. So this is in Genesis chapter 8, verse 21. For the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. So even after the flood, God restarted, pressed the restart button. And here we are in Genesis 11. It says God came down to see the city. He physically walked among men still. And it seems as though God is doing this as a reaction to what's happening. But in reality, if you look at this, the Lord actually has in his heart always two things: what is for our good and what is for his glory. Everything is for the glory of his name. And he made man to actually glorify God and also to be glorified with God, which is interesting. Man can't be glorified apart from God, and that's where sin comes in, and man tries to glorify himself without God. But if you look fast forward in the New Testament, God actually glorifies us. Those he justifies, he glorifies. That's in Romans 8. But we're going way too far ahead right now. But I want to point that out. It's important to see that God is not insecure. Nothing is greater than God. Even if men tried to build a tower that reached the heavens, they couldn't. Even though God says, what he says makes it seem as though men could. We know that physics, the laws of physics, would not allow that. But what's important to note here is that God actually does this for his glory, because people are actually acting like the one whose nature they took on, Satan, from the garden. When they disobeyed God, the image of God was lost, but they took on the image of the one that they obeyed, and that's Satan. And we see this, that the same thing that caused Satan to fall, which is pride, trying to be like God, trying to reach God, trying to not reach God, but trying to take the place of God, reaching up to the heavens without God in the picture, is exactly what Satan did. And that's what these people are doing. And they even say, like, let's make sure that we don't get forgotten. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth. Why would they fear that, first of all? That's weird. God didn't even mention that yet. God comes down to see what's going on, and they're actually, it's like an uprise against the name of God, basically. And so he does those two things. What's best for man is actually that they live in the way that they were created to, which is to thrive in the presence of God, not try to be God. And the second thing is for the glory of his name. He realizes that, in nothing will be impossible for man. So let's confuse their language so that they can't understand one another's speech. So if everything in their hearts is evil from youth, as he says in Genesis 8, then if anything is impossible, or anything is possible for man, it's probably not a great idea that they can do anything, because it'll only be evil. For a while it'll look good, and then it'll be used for evil. We see this in our world today. So that's for the glory of his name. He actually protects his creation, whom he made to live and thrive in his presence. But these people are trying to do everything apart from his presence. So he disperses them and confuses their language. And then we see a beautiful list of people who come from Shem, the Shemites, or the Semites, which is the Jews. So here we go all the way to Abraham, or Abram, not Abraham yet, Abram. And even before, I find it interesting, in verse 31, it says that it's actually Terah who took Abram and all of their family to go to Canaan from Ur. Without any of the details, we'll see next chapter, in chapter 12, that it's actually God who has called them out. Maybe he put it in the heart of Terah, but he's actually called Abram out. And